you wanted the best, you've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com. Ladies and gentlemen, there are these things that makes official. Welcome to the big show. As always, the Chris Voss Show is one of the oldest living podcasts in existence, at a handful of the oldest, that still delivers 1 to 2 new shows a day. That's how pervasively hardworking we are. That's it. To bring you all the wonderful authors and minds and people that we put on the show and all that good stuff. Opinions expressed by guests on the podcast are solely their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the host or the Chris Voss Show. Some guests of the show may be advertising on the podcast, but it is not an endorsement or review of any kind. Today we have another amazing young lady on the show. She is the author of the book called UFO February, Sci-Fi, Space Aliens, and Unidentified Flying Objects. Part of a 56 Pete and Carol Ann mystery series by C.A. Hartnell. She joined us on the show right now. Welcome to the show. Carol, how are you?
I'm fine, and I'm really happy to be here.
And we're happy to have you. Me. Thank you. We're happy to have you. I was so excited I interrupted you. So give us a .com's websites. Where do you want people to get to know you better?
I have a website at cahartnell.com, and I'm on social media. I'm on Instagram, and I actually do a lot of behind the scenes on my Instagram. It's at C.A. Hartnell, but I also have a Carol Hartnell official that is just book stuff. It's brand new, so it doesn't have that many friends yet, but I would love to have more friends follow me on there.
Yeah.
And I am on X and Truth Social too, as well, and Facebook.
Give us a 30,000 overview of what's in this book.
This book, UFO February, takes place in February of 1956. It's a couple of kids, Pete and Carol Ann, who are also characters in my book series. I have a 4-book series that I wrote before this that takes place in 1955. So it's kind of like the 4 seasons. But I always said if I ever wrote another book, I would take Pete and Carol Ann forward and write a book about February, because I figured that in 1956 February there'd be Valentine's and we could talk about love, and there'd just be some material that I could use. So I wasn't going to do it though. I wrote 4 books years ago, and I wasn't going to write another one, but here I am. I did it. I went forward and I wrote it.
So you now have 5 or 6 books now?
That's 5. It's 5 books. If you there's actually an original book that I was actually shocked to see was still up on Amazon, way down at the bottom on my, I guess it's my author's page. It was called More Than a Pinch, Less Than a Bee Sting, and it's terrible. Don't buy it.
What?
I was shocked that it was still up there. But so technically it's 6 books, except that first original book was written for a class, and I actually turned that into a book called Scary Spring. So it just morphed into a much better book. But here I am with UFO February. Takes place in February 1956. Pete and Carol Ann have differing views about UFOs and space aliens. Now, Pete thinks that they come from outer space, and he's can't wait to meet one. And Carol Ann's always warning him, you don't even know if they're going to be friendly. But because she's a Sunday school kid, she thinks that these UFOs and space aliens could actually be something from another dimension, maybe connected something demonic. So the book is faith-based. I'm a Sunday school kid. I wouldn't know how else to write.
How else to write? It's crazy, man. Just freaking crazy. Now, with this book, is this part of the original 4 series, and this is an addition to it, or how does this work?
It's a standalone book. It has the same characters, but I was able to introduce a really cool adult into this new book. His name is Uncle Samuel, but he likes science fiction. He's an engineer, a scientist, and they call him Uncle Sci, as in Uncle Sci-Fi, so they shorten it to Uncle Sci. He was not in the other books, and he's a brand new character. He's the guy that can go on adventures with the kids, and he can ask them tough questions. He can give them advice without preaching, because he's just a great, fun character. I had a lot of fun writing Uncle Sci.
Wow. So do you see, now this was part of a series that I mentioned where it talked about the 1956 Pete and Carol Ann mystery. Is this the first book in that series then, or how does it work?
You know what? I have an idea for a couple others that it could be a series. I'd still probably call them standalone books, but it would definitely still be Pete and Carol Ann. Those are my characters. I love those characters. They have a lot of fun. They go on adventures. They love to investigate. It's kind of a takeoff from the Nancy Drew and Hardy Boys series, even Trixie Belden. That's what the little kids used to like to read in the 1950s. I grew up with those books. So I guess when I wanted to write something like what I knew. And that, in fact, that's what they tell us, write what you know.
Yeah, write what you know. That's what everyone writes. And that's the beauty, because people are all so different in so many ways. They have different lives. They have different patterns. That's why I love doing the show and interviewing people, is their stories. There's different perspectives or different ways they approach. Even stories are similar sometimes. There's different perspectives or approaches they had to it. Sometimes they have different formulas of solving whatever the cathartic moment is. Yeah, exactly. And then they write with them and help other people. So do you see this becoming a future series where you're going to write a whole mess of stuff?
I have two other books in my mind that I could write about 1956. I could write something about Mars. I like to take a month. I kind of dissect a month from the past. That's what I did with the 4-book series. I wrote about April, July, October, and December. December's a Christmas book, but each one's a month. So they say that an author needs a voice. That would be part of my voice. I take a month. I look up, let's say, February of 1956. That's what I wanted to write about. So I looked on the internet, which is just so cool because we have so much information that we can get. And I found a calendar for 1956, and I knew that February 1st was on a Wednesday. So I started the book on Wednesday, February 1st. And the book ends on February 29th. So it was actually a leap year that year of February 56, which was super cool because I had a lot of fun with the kids talking about leap year.
Yeah. The explaining all that to them, I wish we could get rid of that. I don't know. I guess there's some sort of reason behind it. That and daylight savings or whatever version of just mad.
Yeah, but it was like a really cool surprise to find that and to be able to talk about it. And so Pete in the book he likes all the 50s lingo. He's got an older brother that's a teenager that's got a really cool car, Hawks Ride. By the way, I actually own Hawks Ride. I actually bought a old car, 1937 Ford Slantback that got refurbished and painted at West Coast Customs because I had a connection there, and wrote that into all 5 books. So when the kids go on an adventure, a lot of times they're going to be in Hawks Ride going on an adventure. But Pete's this cool kid, and I'm telling you, at the end of the book, he is having so much fun with leap year that he's driving everyone crazy. That's how the book ends. The kids are just having a blast. They're having so much fun.
Yeah, a good blast. So how did you get, you've written a lot of books. How did you get good at this? When did you first start writing? When did you kind of know that you had a knack for it?
I thought maybe I had a knack for it in the first book, but like I said, I think it's terrible. It didn't get the editing that it needed. I went through a vanity press, and they did a good job for me, but it didn't get the editing, so that's why I ended up rewriting it and created Scary Spring, different title, a much better book. I always loved writing, but it was still hard. I took some classes that actually taught you how to write a novel, and I needed to find a subject, so I wrote about my childhood, and because I had all these crazy adventures, super crazy adventures. We all have great stories to tell. I was privileged to be able to have a a bit of a skill in writing, and that I could put them into a book, and that I had some resources, so I was able to self-publish these books and get them out there.
Yeah. And self-publishing has been so great because it's democratized the publishing industry. And if people have a story and a voice, there is somebody out there who usually I was told this when I was editing my book. People told me, they go, there's somebody out there who needs to hear your story, Chris, and they need to hear it from you, and they need to learn from you. And even novels like yours, they tell stories, they teach lessons. We don't get an operator's manual in life to how to be a human being. Clearly, I know I've failed at it sometimes miserably, and maybe I'm failing at it now. We'll find out a year or two from now when I have 20/20 perspective and hindsight out my butt, which is usually where I find it. I'm always at my own butt. But so this is great. Now, do you see other maybe interests, or your original series? Do you want to take that further, or is that kind of capped? Some people cap.
For a while, I rewrote the first original book, and I wrote 3 more, and they were published. And then I just decided that they needed some more editing and they could be better. So I redid them and added some more pages in the back with some fun 50s information, and I republished those in 2017. And then marketing is really hard. So I really appreciate what you're doing for me right now, because marketing is the hard part. Yes, the writing is really hard. It can be really difficult, but it can be really fun too. Actually, I love to do the research, the writing. To me, that's the most fun of all. Yeah. But the marketing is so difficult, and you just need a lot of help and direction to do that. But I kind of said to people, I wrote those other books. I got to chronicle my crazy childhood in all 4 of the books because I had so many stories. And I felt like they were, it sounds terrible to say that I felt like they were kind of dead in the water. It's a terrible thing to say about my books. I was okay with that. I felt like I did that job. I left a legacy for my family with those books. But I'm seeing now that they were foundational for this newest book. And this newest book has more potential as a standalone book to get out there and to impact kids' lives, I think. It's got the gospel message in it. It's got the armor of God in it. It's fun. It's a fun read. It's exciting. I just hope families will buy it because it's a wholesome, faith-based book. I'm excited to see families, parents and grandparents buy it for their kids and read it to them, read it out loud. It'd be a lot of fun. And actually, we're working on an audiobook right now. I'm not reading the audio, but it's a pretty cute voice. So
I say people love to sometimes hear these things. Sometimes people like to read. It kind of just depends on what their flavor is. I found I used to do a lot of audiobooks, and then I found that I was just blasting through. At one point, I had this thing where I was like, I'm going to read 100 books in a year through audiobooks. And I'm jacked up to 2 times speed. And while you're consuming it, you're not retaining it. And I remember I had a guy who came on the show, and he goes, Oh, you're reading a lot of books there, Chris? Tell me about the last book that you read, and what were some lessons you learned from it? And I was like, crap, I can't even remember the last one. I've been speed gaming these things.
That is too funny. I don't listen to too many audiobooks, but I like them. I think they're fun. It's been fun listening to this voice that's reading my audiobook.
It'll be interesting to see how it all comes out. What do you hope people come away with your books? What do you hope they learn, and maybe a message or something that they come out with?
Well, the book, this last book, UFO February's, it's got several messages in it. Like I said, it's faith-based. I would love for kids to be able to put the armor of God on when they're scared. There's even a, so Carol Ann in the book, carries a little notepad around in her pockets, because in the 50s, we always had pockets in our clothes, our skirts, our dresses, whatever. So she likes to write Bible verses and stuff down. I want the kids to have that, to have the little picture that she drew of the pieces of the armor. Pete and Carol Ann, they don't agree about what they think our space aliens and UFOs are, but they agree to disagree because their friendship's more important than a disagreement. So I think that's a real valid message for people to take from it. And in the back of the book, there's some lists there's sci-fi words. There's a glossary of 1950s words that are really fun, like see you later, alligator, after a while, crocodile. And the word cool, everybody says cool still, but that was a 1950s word. We all said cool, everything's cool. So, and there's a page about the armor of God that's from Ephesians 6. And there's even a list of some sci-fi movies that they might want to watch.
Huh. No, really important, really important. And why do you like, are all your books in the sci-fi genre, or is this the first one that's that way?
No, I never imagined I would write a book about science fiction. So this is where I said it's faith-based. I really do believe that I know it sounds a little crazy, but I really felt like I had a commission to write this latest book because I really didn't want to. But I felt like it was something the Lord wanted me to do, that I had a message that I could get out there. But it's crazy that it was UFOs. In fact, I started writing this in 2023, and nobody was talking about UFOs at that point. And it took me 2.5 years to get this written and published because I took a lot of time. I had a lot of fun with the research. I didn't know that I was writing something that was going to get a lot of attention. Had no idea, but maybe somebody did. But I'll tell you what, my mother dropped me and my 2 sisters off at the movie theaters. This would have been in late 1950 and early 1960s. We moved to Buena Park, California, and she dropped us off every Saturday about noontime, and we watched a double feature sci-fi movie. 2 movies back to back every Saturday for 2.5 years. But do you think I ever thought that I would use that information in a book that I wrote? Never. But it's funny how the things that are in our past can come forward and really make an impact later in our lives.
That's the great thing about life. Life is really everything we do is a compendium of, if I'm choosing the right word here, I'm just making up stuff, I guess. A compendium of the stories of our life.
Exactly.
You and I and everyone listening to the show and everyone on this earth, we are a collection of our stories.
Exactly.
They're good, they're bad, sometimes they're really ugly. But they're all usually stories of accomplishment and achievement and Phoenix rising from the ashes, how we overcame. Hope is the greatest trait of human beings, because without it, we'd probably been lost a long time ago.
Exactly.
In the worst floods, the worst tornadoes, the worst earthquakes, the worst, murderous things that happen in the dark ages and stuff. Somehow we survived all that through having hope. And it just astounds me. You'll see somebody who a hurricane goes through their town and Hurricane Alley and wipes their whole city off the map. And they have the resilience and hope to go, we're going to rebuild and we're going to make it better and we're going to survive. And we lost everything too. And I'm just like, my God, what a beautiful message that is to those of us. Sometimes we have our own little problems. Like, I don't know, we can't open a can or something, or some little mistake. And we're like, oh, woe is me. Life is over. I cannot survive past this point. The internet's down. That's usually when that happens.
We're terrible that way.
Yeah. The world's ending. The internet turns back on and we're like fools. But the hope is really what endures us. And that's really what we share when we share our stories. We share the owner's manual of life. Exactly. We share inspiration. We share journeys. And you can think back of all the good, bad, and ugly stories that have happened to you in your life. You can use all of that as a chance to grow, as a chance to become better, as a chance to do other things. It's just the way that it is. And it's just crazy. So, yeah, it's pretty wild.
And to be able to share those as a fellow author, to be able to share those in writing with other people is really, really special.
Yeah.
And when I don't take it for granted, I think it's a gift to others in a huge way when we can share, like you said, the good, bad, and the ugly.
Yeah, I think of how I was shaped by some of the ugly trauma that happened to me over the course of my lifetime. The whole life wasn't trauma. Keep that in mind, folks. Some of my childhood trauma and how that shaped everything for 50 years. And I wouldn't be the man I am today without some of those really ugly things that happen to you in life, and my penchant to hope and survive and build a better person, and hopefully not be a victim of different things like that. And of course, when you're a child, there's not a lot you can do. You're just a child. You're just a blank slate. Not really a blank slate, but you don't even know how to understand some of the things that are going on. But I look at the way a lot of stuff shaped me, and I'm like, even the bad times made me a better person. Now, some people collapse into that; they become a worse person, and that's a story in and of itself. But, maybe someday they wake up and learn. Or we see that all the time. We see that with people in the news who end up going to prison on death row, end up killing some people or doing something bad. And we look at those, and even though those people may not be writing a book someday about how I was a victim when they were the perpetrators, we can all look and learn from them and go, yeah, I don't want to end up in prison like that guy. So I'm not going to do that story. I'm going to work to go around that one. Don't be Robin Banks, folks. That's what they tell me. That's what the judge says I can't do anymore. Anyway, guys, as we go out, any future books you're working on, anything coming up that you want to plug?
You know what? I'd like to do a coloring book for little kids. Because if I go to any kind of a book fair or anything, which I've done in the past, the little kids can't read a chapter book. These are for 8 to 12-year-olds. I like to say 8 and up because I hope adults will buy them for their kids. But so I'm going to do something. I've got a little coloring book I did called The Cool Cats, and it was had a birthday message in it. But I'm going to do a kind of a UFO space alien theme for a coloring book. And I don't know if it'll be available for sale, but I'll have it at book fairs. And actually, it could be for sale on my website. We'll see. But yeah, so that would be the next project, probably, that coloring book.
You might as well double down, do the whole UFO thing and all that good stuff, right?
Might as well. It's in the news every day.
Well,
we have hope. We have hope, and we're overcomers.
We have hope for more books.
But we're overcomers because we have hope.
We are. And that's how we overcome, is we have hope, and we just learn to eat the elephant one bite at a time and overcome, as it were. Yeah. So I'm glad you're doing that. Now, there's a shop on your website people can get involved with. Do you want to plug some of the stuff that's going on your website?
Like I have a blog where they can read just stuff about my past and just different things that are up there on that blog. And there is a place where they can order the book, the new book, as well as the other books. Yeah, if they go there and navigate that a little bit. And there's a lot of interesting stuff actually on my website because Hartnell is a famous name. It's actually my maiden name.
Oh wow.
It's a famous name. There's John Hartnell, who was an explorer on the I can't even think of it. It was a famous expedition that was lost in going to the North Pole, and John Hartnell was on that expedition. There's a famous designer, Norman Hartnell in England, who designed all the gowns and party dresses for Queen Elizabeth and her sister. He died in the 1970s. And I think right now in England, there's actually something going on to celebrate Norman Hartnell. And there was a famous actor, William Hartnell, who was the original Doctor Who. So I guess that was the blue phone booth or something. Anyway, so there's some information on there about the famous Hartnells and also about my car, Hawks Ride. You can get a little bit of information about the car. So anyway.
So people can check that out. They can follow up with you on what your future wares are, and maybe some of the things will become of this. But the great thing about writing kind of for children's age, teenagers' age, and fantasy science fiction is, boy, it really feeds their imagination. I remember when I was reading science fiction as a kid, Alan Dean Foster was one of my favorite books. And then I was into fantasy, J.R. Tolkien, sort of Shannara stuff. But I really fell into science fiction and really, I don't think it's possible to ever read Alan Dean Foster book. he's prolific like Louis L'Amour. I think he wrote the Westerns. Oh, yeah. There's 5 million of those. My grandfather, when I was a kid, he used to read them while he was on guard duty for a building golf course and subdivision. And he would just sit in his car and make sure no one did anything. Back then, no one was doing anything. I don't know what they were up to. But he would either collect golf balls that were banged into the new building subdivision. And so he had a whole bunch of those in his big Chevy Impala trunk that you can fit 10 bodies in if you're that so inclined. I've lived in Vegas for 20 years, people. It's a thing. So anyway, I segue myself right out of the damn thing. But no, he would have this pile of 50 or 75 Louis L'Amour books in his back seat.
Yeah.
And he would sit in the front. He'd have to kind of watch the perimeter and stuff, make sure no one was mucking about. But then he would read just Louis L'Amour. And I would thumb through the books, read the covers. And
yeah, they were great.
They were great, yeah. But I don't think it's possible to read either one of those authors' full library in a lifetime, maybe. I don't know. They're pretty prolific. Well, thank you very much for coming to the show. We really appreciate it, Carol.
Thank you for having me on. I really enjoyed this. And it was great. You're a great interviewer.
We've done this once or twice over nearly 20 years.
I'm a novice at this.
We try and get better every show. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But
no,
folks,
you're cool.
Thank you.
You're
you very
super
much.
Cool.
We try to make it fun and entertainment, and people will listen to just about anything if it's funny, entertaining. So
yeah,
that or they just look at my face and they laugh. So either way, we're winning. Wait, what? Anyway, folks, order up your book wherever fine books are sold. UFO February, Sci-Fi, Space Aliens, and Unidentified Flying Objects, a 1956 Pete and Carol Ann mystery. Yeah. Thank you very much for coming to the show, Carol. We really appreciate it. It's been wonderful to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thanks for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, YouTube.com/Chris Voss, and all those crazy places on the internet. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you next.
You've been listening to the most amazing, intelligent podcast ever made to improve your brain and your life. Warning, consuming too much of the Chris Voss Show podcast can lead to people thinking you're smarter, younger, and irresistible sexy. Consume in regularly moderated amounts. Consult a doctor for any resulting brain bleed.